Hi friends, I Robinson. Welcome to our YouTube channel Star Science Robinson. Let's get into topic. Cerebral palsy. So what is cerebral palsy? Cerebral palsy is a group of non-progressive disorder resulting from malfunction of motor center of the brain. So we are going to deal with it. And cerebral palsy, it is a congenital disorder of movement, muscle tone or posture, and cerebral palsy is due to abnormal brain development often before birth. Cerebral means brain, and palsy is nothing but a paralysis. So now I'm showing you in a brain diagram. So there's the three portions where it is being affected. Cerebral palsy will be affected in these three portions of the brain. One is cortex region, and another one is basal ganglion and cerebellum. So cortex and basal ganglion, cerebellum. So these are the three portions which is being affected when cerebral palsy occurs. So now I'll show you which main part of the brain when it is being affected through a cortex region. Now I am showing you in our diagram this region, it is cortex of the brain which is being affected, then the upper limbs will be affected. And now I'm showing you this part of the cortex region of the brain. If it has been affected, it will affect the face. And now I'm showing you this portion, the in between of the two hemispheres, the cortex region. If it is affected, then the lower limbs. The main thing we have to know that the left side of the cortex region will be responsible for the right side of the body, and right side cortex region of the brain is responsible for the left side of the body. In cerebral palsy, if the right side it is been not working of the cortex, then the left side of the body will be affected. Same with the part of the cortex, if it has been affected, then the right side of the body will not function. So right now I'm showing you neuron from the left side of the cortex region, that is the upper limb side, and if it comes down and it passes to the right side, and now I'm showing you from the right side of the cortex region, neuron passes down and to the opposite, that is left side. So here the motor of the left side of the body, and first we have deal with motor right side of the body. The cortex region, it is a pyramidal, that is involuntary, and basal ganglion, it is extrapyramidal. At the same time cerebellum also extrapyramidal. So that is the thing which we are seeing right now. And the cortex region is pyramidal, so it is a spastic cerebral palsy, and the extrapyramidal from the basal ganglion, so it is a dyskinetic cerebral palsy. And the cerebellum, it is also extra pyramidal, and it is a ataxic cerebral palsy. So these are the things which we have to remember. And the next type, it is mixed cerebral palsy. So here you have to remember mixed cerebral palsy, it is all three which we have discussed. We'll go with the diagram of the cerebral cortex affected patients. So we'll see what are the difference here. So I'm drawing a patient's posture. So here we have to remember, if I'm showing you here, if the cortex region, the middle and the upper portion, that is lower limb and upper limb, left side of the cortex region of the brain, if it is being affected, so the information from there to the right side of the upper and lower limb will not work. I mean, it will not reach the information because the left side of the cortex region is being affected. So both the places where the upper lip area, at the same time lower limb area has been affected. So this case, the patient is suffering with paralysis or not working of the upper limb and lower limb of the right side. So this patient, it is called as a hemiplegia. Affected motor activity of the right upper and lower limbs, and it will be stiff limbs. So we are going to see about the next patient of the cerebral cortex affected person. So now we are going with the diagram. So the area of the cerebral cortex medial region, if it is being affected, then the lower limbs will be affected. So here in this patient, both the side medially, both the cerebral cortex regions are affected, so the both the lower limbs will not work properly, because here the left and right side of the medial cortex region has been affected, so the information from there will not pass down to the lower limbs. So here it will not work and the lower limbs will be in stiff. So this type of patient, they are called as a paraplegia. And in next patient we are seeing the cerebral cortex, everywhere it is being affected, so the information from the either side will not pass properly to the upper limbs and to the lower limbs. So when there is no proper information from the cortex, cerebral cortex region of the brain to the upper limbs and lower limbs, then there will be stiffness of the upper limbs and the lower limbs. So here the cortex region of the right and left has been affected. Type it is called as a quadriplegia. So if the one side of the cortex region affected, then it is monoplegia. Upper limb or one lower limb will be affected. So altogether it is a pyramidal involuntary of the cerebral cortex region affected. Till now we have seen about the cortex region of the brain affected area. So now we are going to see about the basal ganglion. So the basal ganglion, it is responsible for motor control as well as the other roles such as motor learning and behavior and emotions. So this type it is called as a dyskinesia. So uncontrolled involuntary muscle movements. So they will have this impact in the patient. So when the basal ganglion has been affected, we can see in this type of cerebral palsy, that is dyskinesia, so that is uncontrolled involuntary muscle movements. So we are going to see another patient. So they are being affected with ataxia. So here the hindbrain or a cerebellum, it is being affected. So when the cerebellum has been affected, then the patient will have a impaired balance or coordination, and they can be due to damage of brain nerves or muscles. So this is ataxia. So this is extrapyramidal, so involuntary in this cerebral palsy. Thank you friends for watching this video, cerebral palsy. It's Star Science Robinson.